digestive and excretory systems. We all know what our digestive system does, don't we? Takes all that crap you shove in your mouth and turns it into what we need. That's what it does. Breaks down food. All right. Excretory system gets rid of waste. And once again, what's the last word on there? Homeostasis. Keep that balance. Okay. So the digestive system breaks down the food into energy cells can use. What's that energy called? What? ATP. That's what energy we need. All right. Our body doesn't run on anything else. When digestion has completed, nutrients are absorbed, that stuff's taken to the cells, cells turns it into ATP, that's where we get our energy from, and everything else that's not used is sent out of the body. So we're going to talk about how that works, where it works, what's broken down where, and then how we get rid of all that stuff. Got it? Okay, so here's a picture of the digestive system. It all starts in the mouth. That's where the food goes in. And down our esophagus, and then we have a whole bunch of organs. We have a stomach. We have a liver, a gallbladder, a pancreas, all these different organs that make enzymes that help break down food. Right. Then we have our small intestine, right here in the middle. It's funny, the small intestine is named small, but it's larger than the large intestine. It's longer. And we have a very small piece of large intestine. There's our appendix. Do we need that? Nope, does nothing for us, but it's there. Causes trouble sometimes. Okay. Now, what I want you to look at on here is where the stomach is. Have you ever had a stomach ache? I bet you haven't. We call it a stomach ache, but it's not really a stomach ache. Find where your stomach would be. Take your hand and put your hand where your stomach would be. If you find your breastbone, that's the bone that goes right down the center of your chest. You find the tip of it, right at the bottom. Right below, right there is your diaphragm. Your stomach is just below that, right here. When you have a so-called stomach ache, where does it normally hurt? All down here. Is that a stomach ache? What is it? It's an intestine ache. It's not really a stomach ache. We're going to talk about where those pains come from, too, here in a few minutes. Okay? All right, so what gets broken down where? So it all starts with the mouth. When you put food in your mouth, digestion starts. You have salivary glands in your head that produce saliva. That saliva has chemicals in it that start breaking down food. They start breaking down carbohydrates. What are carbs? Quick energy. What's the main carb that we've talked about? Say that again? Sugar. So that's your saliva starts breaking down those simple sugars. And how I can demonstrate this for you is have you ever eaten a Smartie? You know what Smarties are? They're pure sugar. Okay? You take that, lay it in your mouth, close your mouth, and leave it there. What's going to happen? It's going to go away because it's a simple sugar, glucose, that your saliva will break down. And immediately it sends it into your bloodstream. Okay? That's why you can eat those types of things and you get all crazy real fast because you're flooding your blood with sugar. Okay? Now, some things have to keep going, so we go down to the stomach. Proteins start to be broken down in the stomach. Have to have the acid, have to have some of the other things that are produced, other enzymes to break down protein. Steak's not going to get broken down in your mouth. You don't have enough chemicals there to do it. Then fats and complex sugars, they don't get broken down until they hit your small intestine. They go through your stomach and into your small intestine, and then they get broken down. Okay? Digestion ends in the small intestine. What's your large intestine for? Large intestine is nothing but a poop holder. That's it. Because once it gets there, there's no more digestion happening. That's all it does. It holds it to get rid of it later. Okay? So a couple other things here. Pancreas. We know pancreas does what? Makes what? Doesn't make sugar. It makes insulin that breaks down sugar, but it also breaks down fats and protein. It helps with protein. Okay? And then your liver and gallbladder make bile and gall that help break down fats. Why is it so bad to eat fat? How many different times is it listed up there? How much does it take to break down fat? A lot. It puts a stress on your system. Right? High fatty foods are hard to break down. So it takes your body a while to break them down. Do they break all of them down? Nope. Okay. Makes sense? Yeah, that's going to catch up with you. It's kind of like a car. Everything runs great until it doesn't. And then boom, your metabolism, at some point their metabolism is going to slow down. But they're used to doing what? Eating and eating and eating. And if they keep doing that, it's going to have an effect on them. What? There's a flap in between called the epiglottis. And when you put food in, that flap, it's registers in the brain, that flap closes your trachea. When you breathe, it opens and closes. It's called the epiglottis. All right, so where do we get that so-called stomach ache? That pain in the intestines. It's called peristalsis. All right. Well, peristalsis is what causes it to happen, or causes the pain. It doesn't just happen in your intestines, it also happens in your esophagus. All right? And this is the movement of food. When you put food in your mouth and you swallow it, that tube, that esophagus going to your stomach, it's not like a water slide at the water park. It doesn't just go, whoo, it slides straight down and poop, dump into your stomach. It stays there. And the muscles in your esophagus have to squeeze it down. So if you have that tube, it squeezes, pushes the food down. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. All the way till it gets to the stomach, and then it dumps it in there. It doesn't just slide down the tube. Okay? Have you ever been eating chips, you didn't chew it up good enough, you get that one pointy one that sticks. And then you feel it right here. And then all of a sudden you feel a little bit further down. And then you feel it a little bit further down. Because every time it squeezes, you feel that pain from that point sticking into your esophagus. And then all of a sudden it's gone. Because it emptied into your stomach. Okay? Makes sense? This also happens in your intestines. Peristalsis happens in your intestines. So if you've got that food that is traveling, it's reached your small intestine, well, your small intestine is going to be squeeze, 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 squeeze. Well, if it's not right, if things aren't right in your system, it causes pain. All right? The main cause of it is you don't have enough water in your system. Because, this is going to sound disgusting, but in your small intestines, your food, poop, whatever you want to call it, should be a slurry. It should have water in it. All right? That water is the lubrication to get it through your intestines. Well, if you're dehydrated, is there any water in there? Is your food that you put in there going to be all nice and smooth? No, it's going to be rough and balled up mess of waste. And so when that intestine squeezes and pushes that down, it scratches against your intestine, and that's what causes the pain. Because you notice when you have a stomach ache, you feel the pain, and then it goes away. Then you feel it again, and it goes away. Well, what you're doing is you're feeling it, it goes away when it squeezes. Then it squeezes again to push it down further, you feel the pain. It's that waste that's scratching against your inside of your intestines. All right? Once it reaches the large intestine, you usually don't feel it anymore. The pain's gone. But then, if it doesn't have enough moisture, use that word, what's it going to be when it comes out? It's going to be rough. It's going to hurt. Why do we need to drink plenty of water? It's one of those things, all right? Make sense? All right, so where do we get the nutrients? How do the nutrients come out? Well, in your small intestine is where All the nutrients are pulled out of the food that you eat. We have a picture here. This is a microscopic view of the lining of your small intestine. It's got all these little finger-looking things sticking out into the middle of your intestine. And as that food, that broken down food passes through, these little fingers, the nutrients stick to the fingers, and look at the amount of blood vessels that are in here. Each one is packed full of blood vessels. Because where do we need those nutrients to go? Yeah, we need to get them in the blood and get them to the rest of the body. So as those nutrients touch these little finger guys, it's instantly put into the blood, and when your heart beats, shoot, it shoots those nutrients up where they need to go. Okay? What? Yep, inside. Inside lining of the small intestine. Digestion makes sense. Right? And of course, we've talked about this word before, villi. That's what these are called. Little finger-looking projections are called villi. Right? Almost like cilia. We talked about that. Right? Little hair-like things. All right, so excretory. Getting rid of waste. Getting that stuff out of your body. Waste doesn't just come out the bottom. Waste comes out in a couple different places. Do we get rid of waste when we breathe? Yeah, our lungs get rid of waste, carbon dioxide, and water if we have too much. Right. What about your skin? When you sweat, you get rid of waste. Right. You get rid of extra salt that doesn't need to be in your body. And some people have this problem more than others. Ever felt your skin that feels real oily? That's your body getting rid of extra oil and fat through your skin, through your sweat glands. That's why some people have oily skin. Some people have dry skin. That means their body doesn't get rid of it through the skin. All right? So we can get rid of the salts. There it is right there, through the sweat glands and oils and fats. And then our kidneys are our big filters. All right? They clean the blood. Blood goes through the kidney. It gets filters out all the impurities, all the garbage that doesn't need to be in your blood and your body. And it mixes it with water and sends it to the bladder, which makes you have to do what? Makes you have to go pee. And that's your body getting rid of that waste. All right? If those kidneys don't work, we have now a process where we can use something else to filter the blood, and it's called dialysis. You might have heard of that before. My mom was on dialysis before she passed away. It's not a fun thing, but what's the alternative? You die. All right? You have to have kidneys. If your kidneys don't work, you will die. So dialysis is an alternative. It's an external kidney. They take your blood out of your body, put it through a bunch of filters, get the garbage out, and put your blood back in you. Now, it's not something you can just do once. My mom had to do this 3 days a week for at least 5 hours each day. So, what's the alternative, though? You do it because we have to survive. Okay? But we at least have a way, if our kidneys shut down, to help us. Any questions over digestive and excretory?